Your real estate agent just told you the market is slow. They're right. They're also about to quit the industry. And if you're buying or selling a home in the next 12 to 36 months, that second part matters more than you actually think. Here's the number that stopped me cold when I first saw it. In 2025, the US recorded 4.06 million existing homes. That ties 2024, and it's barely below the 2023 numbers. 3 straight years, fewest home sales since 1995. Now, you might hear that and think, okay, slow market, rates are high, everybody knows this. But here's where the story gets a little bit more uncomfortable. 1995 had about 99 million households in the country. 2025 had roughly 135 million. So when you adjust for how many more families are out there now compared to then, this isn't just a slow market. This is the slowest resale turnover rate in more than 4 decades. To find anything comparable, you have to go all the way back to 1981 when mortgage rates briefly topped 18%. Think about that for a second. And we're sitting here in 2026 matching that era's transaction volume on a per household basis, not because rates hit 18%, because enough people locked in at 3% that they'll not move. They're not going to move anywhere. That's the lock-in effect. You hear about it all the time, and that's not going away quietly. So what does that mean for people working in the industry? I'll tell you exactly what it means because I've watched it happen in real time from the mortgage side of this business for a couple years now. People are leaving. They're exiting. Agents are leaving. Loan officers are leaving. The ones who got in the business during the 2020 and 2021 when you could close deals in your sleep because demand was so insane, a lot of these people are gone or they're on their way out. And here's the part that should actually give some hope if you're a consumer trying to navigate all this. A recent survey found that 9 in 10 real estate agents still expect to be active in the industry 3 years from now. 9 out of 10. Think about that. At first glance, that sounds like denial, right? The market is historically slow and almost everybody thinks they're going to stick around and make it all the way through. They're going to get over the hump. But think about what that actually tells you. The shakeout, it's already happened. The people who answered that survey are the ones saying they're staying. Those are the agents who survived 3 years of the worst transaction volume since the Reagan administration. They built systems. They stayed in contact with clients. They got sharper on pricing, on negotiation, on understanding what buyers actually need right now versus what they needed in 2021. The weak hands folded. These are the people still at the table. Now, let's be honest about this because I think there's a version of the story that gets told in a way that's not too clean. The official membership numbers for the industry association might still be lagging. There could be more exits coming and that haven't fully shown up in the data yet. I'm not going to pretend this is over, but the directional signal is real. 3 years of historically low volume is a brutal filter. The agents who made it through the filter without quitting are not the same group that you were dealing with in 2020 when anyone with a license and a pulse could close a deal, 5 deals a month. So let's talk about what this actually means for you if you're thinking about buying or selling. Because this isn't just an industry story. This hits your wallet directly. When transaction volume drops this far for this long, a few things happen that most people don't think about. The first one is inventory behavior. Sellers who locked into 3% are still not moving. They don't have to. So the supply side of the market stays constrained even though demand has also pulled back. You get this weird frozen state where prices don't crash the way you'd expect in a slow market because there's just not that much available to buy. That's why if you've been sitting on the sidelines waiting for prices to fall dramatically, you've probably still been waiting and you'll probably wait for quite some time. The second thing that happens is aging quality concentration. When volume is low and only serious professionals stay, the advice you get from a good agent right now is genuinely better than what you'd have gotten from a random agent in 2021. In a hot market, almost anyone can move a house. In this market, you need someone who actually knows how to price a property for what the current buyer pool will pay, not what the neighborhood got 2 years ago. You need someone who understands how to structure an offer that wins without overpaying. You need somebody who has been in real estate negotiations recently, not just rubber stamping bidding wars. That agent exists. They survived 3 years of this. Go find them. The third thing, and this is the one I watch most closely from where I sit in the mortgage business, is what happens to transaction timelines. When volume is low, the professionals who remain get more careful. They're not rushing deals because there aren't 10 more lined up behind this one. That's actually good for buyers and sellers who want a smooth process. But it also means that if you end up working with someone who's been coasting Someone who maybe should have left but didn't, the mistakes are more costly now because the market doesn't forgive them the way they did when everything was moving so fast. Here's the number I want you to sit with for a second. 4.06 million homes in a country with 135 million households. That's a turnover rate of about 3%. In a normal market, you would expect something closer to 5 or 6%. The gap represents millions of transactions that are not happening. Families that want to move up but can't justify the giving up their rate, empty nesters who love to downsize but the math doesn't work, first-time home buyers who keep running the numbers and keep putting it off. All of that pent-up demand is sitting there. And at some point, life doesn't wait for the perfect rates. Job changes happen, families grow, marriages happen, and marriages end. People inherit money, people lose jobs, life moves people whether the market cooperates or not. So the question isn't really whether transactions are going to come back. They will. The question is who's going to be there to handle them when they do. And based on 3 years of the hardest conditions in this industry has ever seen since 1981, the answer is shaping up to be the people who refuse to quit. That's true on the agent side. It's true on the mortgage side too. The loan officers who are still originating right now, who stayed sharp on guidelines, who kept building relationships with agents and financial planners, CPAs during the slowdown, those are not the same people who are taking orders during the refinance boom. They actually know how to do this. They know how to do their job and they know how to do it well. So if you're someone who's been waiting for the right time, here's what I would tell you. The right time is less about rates and more about readiness. Rates will do what rates do. Nobody in this business can tell you with certainty where they're going to be in the next 6 months, and anyone who tells you otherwise is selling you something. What you can control is who you're working with. Ask your agent how many transactions they closed in 2023, in 2024, in 2025. If those numbers are real and they're still in the business, you're probably talking to someone who earned their spot at the table. Same goes for whoever's handling your mortgage. Ask them what their process looks like when something goes wrong, because something always has the potential to go sideways. Ask them how they communicate with you from contract to close. Ask them what they will do differently than the next person. The market being slow doesn't mean your opportunity is gone. It means people still working in this market are there because they choose to be. The industry has already shed a significant number of people who weren't built for this. And 9 in 10 agents are standing there saying they're not going anywhere. So the next time your agent tells you the market is slow, ask them one more question. Ask them what they've been doing with all their extra time. Their answer will tell you everything you need to know. If this gave you a clearer picture of what's actually happening in the housing market right now, do me a favor, subscribe, because I break down real numbers behind the real estate market every single week. And drop a comment below. Do you think rates have to come down significantly before transactions recover? Or is there something else to break the logjam first? I want to know what you're seeing. My name's Darren Hunter, and this was Guaranteed.